What's up, everyone? I'm David Wu. Welcome to The Art of College, where we talk about all things college and also try to bring to life what these top colleges have to offer on video. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Andrew Bem. He's an associate director in the missions office at Miami, Ohio, and we're going to talk about at least five reasons why everyone should consider Miami, Ohio. Enough from me. Andrew, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I've been here for about 7 years, and it's an incredible place. It's treated me like family, so it makes my job really easy. I typically handle the on-campus visits and events, but I do a lot with recruitment outside of the Oxford, Ohio. I've recruited, all across the nation, and have been brought in on a lot of recruitment strategy initiatives, yield initiatives. So I speak with a lot of experience, but at the same time, I'm very practical in knowing that this whole college investment is only worth it if a student picks the right place for them. And I just want to be as big of a help as I can be in that process, no matter where they end up. I obviously work for an institution that I feel very strongly about, but I always try and give my advice as a very broad stroke of things that they should be considering when applying to college.
Andrew, I want to just thank you again for being here. Guys, I met Andrew about 2 years ago when I was at Miami, and it was immediately obvious he has a heart for students, just like he has a heart for his institution. We were talking on camera, and I filmed this short little thing that I showed my kids, just general advice about college from an admissions officer. Andrew's advice is really on point. His honest is very on point for all high school students, not just people considering Miami. Hopefully, I capture all of that here, and hopefully this is helpful to every high school student. So, all right, let's jump straight in. Andrew, there's 8 Ivy League schools, and then there's 8 public Ivies, right? And Miami is one of those public Ivies. What does that mean for students?
Yeah, well, it was all based off of a college search guide that was written in 1985 by a man named Richard Mall, and he worked for Yale at the time, and he wanted to go across the country and look for opportunities where students could find that same type of experience, setting, educational punch that you would get from an Ivy League education, but within a public school setting and at a public school price. And we were lucky enough to be one of the 8 universities that he got identified as operating exactly like an Ivy League school would, producing the same kind of results with their students, but just in a different kind of setting that you would normally find in an Ivy League. And we try and live up to it through everything we do. We really put the onus in the education on teaching. That is something that I truly feel is the most beneficial aspect of a college education, is the relationships you build with your classmates, with everybody on a college campus, but especially your professors. And we really put the primary focus on your ability to be inside of the classroom, working with professors, yes, doing research with them, which is a major component of an opportunity that we have here. But as an undergraduate-focused institution, every opportunity is for the undergraduate first and foremost. So that does several different things. Number one is it provides less of a barrier between you and your professors. In a lot of cases at big research institutions, professors are insulated by their graduate students. That's who they're doing research with.
Yes.
That's where their primary focuses are on.
Right.
They don't even teach a lot of undergraduate classes,
right,
especially the most tenured ones.
Right.
That's not the case here. In fact, our most tenured professors teach 100 and 200 level classes. And they do that because that's what they wanted out of this opportunity of coming to Miami. They loved the focus we have on teaching undergraduate students. It also provides you an opportunity to, number one, also know that you're going to be taught by a professor. We only have 2,500 graduate students on this campus. There's not a lot of opportunity for them to teach. In fact, every single class in business and engineering is taught by a full-time professor. Every single one. Not one class is taught by a graduate student. So it's something that we kind of put as the forefront of our educational situation, and it speaks in the results. Students often come out with incredible opportunities, but then also lifelong mentors and relationships that they will carry on well beyond the 4 years.
I think I just want to say to students, you think that a college is focused on teaching, right? Higher education. So there's actually like 2 types of colleges, teaching colleges and research universities. And there's a mixture in that. Colleges fall along the spectrum. And when you hear someone say we're focused on teaching, that means a lot to you. What that means is you will be able to talk to a real professor. A real full-time professor is going to be teaching that class. Andrew was sharing with me more than 80% of these college professors at Miami are full-time. So that means they're there more than 40 hours a week. You're going to have access to them, and that means a lot. If you're at a research school, you tend to be taught by more graduate students, especially at the 100, 200 level classes, and you're just really going to class. You're almost kind of like a number to them, and you've got to, dig them out, find their office hours, trailblaze your way to their office. But when you hear teaching, it means that those professors are invested in you, and it really changes the experience quite a bit. Andrew, I know one of the stats was more than a third of all classes have less than 20 students at Miami, and that's unheard of basically in a school with almost 17,000 students. What the Ivy schools do, I found, is they have these dorms that are kind of separated by houses, almost like your Harry Potter houses, or separated into kind of interest groups. And that was one of the things I read about Miami. There's more than 30 of these called LLCs, learning living communities, where I guess there's different interests that kids have or different majors that people are separated by. Is that something that also is kind of like an Ivy experience part of it? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I think it probably came out of that, but we've seen it be beneficial for students in a multitude of different ways. On a big macro level, I tend to believe that college is about growth in three specific ways: professionally, academically, and personally as well. And this puts students in a great position to learn from their peers, to learn from people who are like-minded individuals. And you get a lot of that on a college campus because you're finally away from people who just live around you like they are in your high school. Now you are surrounded by people who are coming to this, making this investment in higher education for their own benefit. And so you need to take advantage of every second that you are on a college campus. 4 years goes by in the blink of an eye. Yeah. And so to think you're only going to be doing the learning in the classroom and then in home, you're just blowing off steam. Right. That's really selling it short of what it can be for you. So we put students in an opportunity for them to select their living based off of something they are interested in. It could be their academics. It could be something they're thinking about professionally. Or it could be something socially that they're really passionate about: service, advocacy, religion, politics. Or it could just be something frivolous that they just want to have as a little bit of an outlet. But hey, at the same time, you are surrounded by people who have that same desire, and you get to learn from them. So, on the very micro level, it is also a great opportunity for students to know that we're not just thrusting off a bunch of first-year students into one specific residence hall simply because you're the same age as them. It's more intentional than that. It puts you in an opportunity to know that we are trying to shrink the size of our institution every opportunity that we get. There's that old adage, you can make a big school small, but you can't make a small school big. Well, this is one of the ways we do that, by allowing you to know that on move-in day, you're not just surrounded by a bunch of other first-year students who just happen to fit in this residence hall because they're moving in the same time as you. It's people that have also selected to have their living based around this interest that you did, an interest that you want. So it builds an instant community. It makes things a lot more comfortable in that first year, provides some programmatic elements for you to get to know other people in your residence hall based around those things you're interested in. But at the same time, too, it provides a little bit of a safety net to know that your random search for a roommate, or even if you find them on Facebook, which a lot of students do these days, which is, I think, just as dangerous as going random, you know that you're surrounded by people who have those similar interests with you. You don't have to wait until the mega fair and join a couple of clubs and then go to those clubs meetings to meet those people that are interested in the same thing as you. That happens as early as move-in day. And, those first 4 days that, are usually between move-in and the first class, those are usually pretty crucial for students to make the good choices about who they want to be associated with for the next 4 years and potentially make some bad choices. So it puts them in a good position to make a better choice more often than not.
Right. I don't understand why more colleges don't do this. I think Miami's program is one of the biggest that I've read about. Some do have these learning living communities, but it's not like 30 separate programs. And when I was in college, our scholarship program tried to do that. You know, we had a community around these stamps scholars who was this, and then the honors college also had their group, but that was it. You know, it was really catered towards like kind of just like the top cut of kids, and then everyone else was really, it was like random roommates or, you know, your friends from high school. But if they had, I mean, I think everyone should be doing this, you know, and it's so true because you're in class for less than 20 hours a week, you know, and the majority of your time.
Yeah, and just to give you some more background in terms of how popular they are, I mean, and how influential they can be, especially for the students coming in. One of the living learning communities is honors, and it actually tends to be in a pretty nice residence hall, a nice living situation. But because of how savvy our students these days, they understand the opportunities they have with these living learning communities. About 50% of the students who are invited to join honors, who have guaranteed spots in that living learning community, choose a different living learning community. They choose to live somewhere else because they know it's another opportunity to meet students that are interested in these other things. They'll get to know their students that are in honors with them inside their honors classes. This is another opportunity for them to get to know other students who might be interested in something else that they're interested in. Academically focused and not, doesn't matter. Every student on most college campuses should be, especially a place like Miami, but it puts them in a position to get to know these students based off of other things they might be interested in.
Right. No, I think it's you know, you think about college, a lot of kids will look at programs, majors, ranking, but it's these details that'll make a difference in your life. I did have a question, Andrew, about just research opportunities, internship opportunities. I've read a lot about that. Apparently there's many different ways to get internship programs and to get kids to start early on that. I mean, you know, people are practical nowadays. People look at college, like you said, as an investment. You know, they're looking for some kind of return on that. What does Miami do to help kids prepare for the real world as early as possible?
Yeah, a couple of different things. I mean, as early as possible is truly the key. Having an undergraduate focus like we do, where 90% of the students are undergraduate, there is very little buffer in between you and these opportunities. In a lot of cases, we push students toward them because we know how important it is. Research is certainly one. You know, many people have a misconception that research is all about sciences or engineering, being inside the labs, working with beakers and Bunsen burners. It's way more than that. It's simply an opportunity for you to apply what you're doing inside of the classroom in a much more professional or practical sense. And we have research opportunities across all of our academics here. I mean, business students are doing market research with Fortune 500 companies right alongside their professors, not only preparing for an incredible career, maybe professional school opportunity like medical school, dental school, whatever it might be, but they're also spending valuable time in close quarters with their professors, learning in a much more hands-on way. And so we push everybody to do research here if they possibly think they want to do it. 2,000 undergrads work on funded research with professors every single year. We have what's called the first-year research experience. It is not selective. It's an open opportunity for any student to literally start research here on day one of every single major, of every single professional interest. But professional interest is something that we don't take lightly with any students. Even if they're coming in with absolutely no idea of what they want to major in, they are required to have 3 points of contact with career services within that first year. What we've started to do is place students into career clusters. Your major is just simply one component of that. Even if you have no major, that's not going to be a component of it. It's literally putting together your academic skills, your professional interests or desires, and your personality, and trying to determine where you might be the best fit for professionally. Nothing's going to lock you in. You can move within these clusters. It doesn't matter, but it just provides so much more guidance for you to prepare yourself professionally for what might lie beyond. And the amount of incredible, return of investment rankings that we've gotten shows that is working out very well. The main thing I would say, though, for a student in terms of opportunities professionally, people are so fixated on co-ops and internships as things that they need to have required for them on a college campus. Be careful with that. The reason why is they are forcing you into certain situations that you might not find helpful, that you might not find interesting, and it might turn you off from that career path. The reason why we put students in a position to find their own opportunities, and look, every single student here, regardless of what their major might be, will have professional development within their 4 years. It's not guaranteed, but it happens simply because we have so many ways to lock down or find those opportunities. But our students find the ones that they are interested in. Honestly, companies put them on a silver platter for our students here, though. They literally start recruiting our students from day one. We have about 250 employers that come to our fall job fair that are first-year friendly, ready to talk to first-year students, knowing that 4 years down the line, they're going to go work and help some company out. Might as well be my company. I'm going to start recruiting you now. Kind of like a 6'8", 300-pound eighth grader is already getting offers and recruited by Alabama. It's the same thing. They know 4 years from now, if you spend your time wisely at Miami, you are going to help some company. Might as well be theirs.
That's really rare because, I even tell my students, look, your first or second year, don't expect to get an internship or a part-time, through the school because it's so competitive, with you've got your grad students at the top and then your seniors and your juniors. But I've read a lot of great things around Miami's, just all these various ways that professors, departments, programs, the career center, like you said, three touch points are mandatory for first year students to plan out their career. And I think that's rare. That's rare to start that early. And the other thing is, you always hear about, by the time you graduate, half the jobs that are in the marketplace are not even invented today. So if you get locked down by your major or by, something, by one co-op, you're almost kind of missing out on what could have been.
Right.
So,
or you might be even putting yourself in a position for a job that's going to be eliminated in 5-10 years.
that's true. That's so true.
I think, there's also the old saying, which I think is a little cynical, of it's not what you know, it's who you know. But the other advice I have in terms of seeking out internships while you're at a university, there's never one way to do it. You don't want to just go to career services, and if they don't have anything that seems interesting, and that's the end of the story. Professors have networking connections. People, myself, I've helped network for tour guides every day, and I am not a professor here. I'm far from it. But I'm another person that they can network with professionally, and I've networked for students in industries that I've worked in before, in banking and in broadcast journalism. I mean, there are opportunities out there for you to just make connections, network, and get to know people. There's tons of people on a college campus. As long as you continue that opportunity of searching for what you want to get, it will come your way. There are too many people on a college campus that want to help you for it to not happen.
Yeah. I think that's, guys, some free advice right there. No matter where you go, no matter where you apply, that's some gold advice. Before we got on this call, we were talking about study abroad opportunities. And, looking at all the things that Miami has to offer, study abroad is a big part of it. And it seems that it's got a really high take rate at Miami. A lot of students do it over, they can do it over the summer or the winter break. Y'all have a Dolabois European Center in Luxembourg. You can live with a foreign family there. It seems like, and then there's almost 100 programs outside of Luxembourg. It just seems like there's a lot of opportunities there. What advice and what's unique about what Miami has to offer on the study abroad side?
Yeah, it's, about 50% of our students will study abroad during their time here, which I honestly think is low. I think that that's a low number simply because of the belief I have in what study abroad can do for a student who utilizes it. It absolutely changed my life, my study abroad experience. I cannot recommend it higher. No matter where you go, look into study abroad. Absolutely look into it, whether it fits in with your major or not. Look into it as an opportunity. And if you want to go to a specific place, study a specific thing, go talk to the study abroad office on day one, and they will find a time to fit it into your schedule. We have literally 90 plus programs here, but they're all offered at different time frames as well. So, the amount of opportunities that colleges are making to eliminate the roadblocks that usually come in the way of students studying abroad. Number one is cost. A lot of students will think, oh, it's too expensive. I can hardly afford college in the United States. How could I afford it? elsewhere. Well, most of these programs are set up to be exactly seamless in terms of what you would pay for taking classes here on campus, even the living expenses as well. In fact, for most cases, the costs are seamless. And for a lot of cases, if you go through a different university and they have a lesser tuition, you're paying their tuition. So
Nice.
it's lower cost.
Yeah.
There's also tons of scholarship opportunities out there at every university that are specific to study abroad programs or just utilizing them for study abroad in general. There are outside scholarships that are available for students to study abroad. The credits are another thing that often come in the way. People will say, oh, well, I have to have so many credits to get my major. I got to plan this out really well, and study abroad just won't fit in. Look, there are advisors that are specifically there to make sure that these programs fill specific major needs or graduation requirements. And, us being a liberal arts institution, everything goes towards graduation. It just has to be planned out in a certain way. And there are people there to help you. Academic advisors can make it happen. Everything you earn as well through things like our winter term, which is basically January 2nd to January 27th, or over the summer, that's all icing on the cake. That's just added credits going towards your graduation that can be taken off of, your semester work. So there's tons of different opportunities to do it. And I literally cannot recommend it more highly, not just because of it being an incredible experience that can change you personally. But look, also, this is something that people are going to be asking about in interviews when these students enter the professional world. It is a global society. It is a global economy. You cannot put a price on what living and learning amongst a different culture can do for you in terms of professional preparation. I had a student who was a tour guide of mine who went for 3 weeks to Cuba as part of our business. We have a business program that sends students for 3 weeks to Cuba. January, not a bad time to be in Cuba, especially if you're from Ohio. She went, was going through the interview phases throughout her senior year of a lot of different companies, was lucky enough through an alumni connection to get an interview at Facebook. She said that 80% of that interview was about her time in Cuba. That's it. It was 3 weeks.
Right.
This interview with Facebook, which she ended up getting the job with, and she now works for Facebook, was all about her experiences going down to a different country that's only 90 miles away from the United States. And on top of that as well, this is a girl who was incredibly impressive. Had developed her own app while she was here, and they wanted to ask about her time in a foreign country. It's because that's what these companies are interested in these days, expanding their marketplace and, to be able to understand how another culture exists and to live amongst them is an opportunity you won't get many other times in life, and an experience that is incredibly invaluable for your professional development.
I totally agree, guys. I think, the thing, okay, you guys are getting a lot of free advice anywhere you go on this. And I think, Andrew, you're absolutely right. My study abroad experience, same as you, changed my life. I was at this big research university, and I didn't get a lot of individual attention until I went to a study abroad program. It was a faculty-led one. So you gotta, that's when I really had the one-on-one. It literally changed my life.
You brought up a good point, too, about a faculty-led trip that you went on. A lot of our programs are faculty-led, and that's something that I know I've talked to students about, that kind of shy away from that. Is this idea as if I'm going to go to a different country, I don't need a teacher holding my hand as I go around. Yeah. That's a complete misconception of what it is. First of all, I had to figure out a lot of stuff on my own, and it wasn't the easiest thing to do, even in a country that also spoke English. That being said, these faculty members that lead these trips have often gone years and years and years. They know all the hot spots. They know how to get around. They know who to talk to. It makes the experience that much easier. But also, think about all the time you were spending with this person who could be a lifelong mentor, who could provide you with a lifelong network of opportunities in terms of professionally. To spend that time with somebody is just incredible. And look, these professors who do these faculty-led ones, they're not sticks in the mud. They like spending time with students. That's why they do this. They don't just do it for a free trip to France or Italy or whatever. They do it because they enjoy spending time with their students. And when they see them in this type of environment, their eyes opening up and them getting the concepts that they're teaching in a much more practical way, it's an amazing experience for both sides. So don't shy away from those opportunities. Those are great opportunities.
I would even go as far to say, go on the faculty-led ones. If you're only going on one, go on a faculty-led one. The one that I went, exactly like you said, you know, my professor, we were together for like 5-6 weeks. He wrote my recommendation letter to grad school. John Garver, I still email him, you know, just a great guy that you literally, he's hand holding you through this culture and this world that you don't know. I love this. I'm loving this, Andrew. I think what you're telling kids is this is super helpful, super helpful. So I've got two more questions. Number one is just let's talk about finances. You talk about the ROI of college a lot. We know the Ivy Leagues, you know, college is so expensive now. The Ivy Leagues, these private schools, they're so expensive now. And just being a public Ivy, you're getting this high quality education at a great price. That's part of being the public Ivy. In terms of scholarships, financial aid, you mentioned even just scholarships just for study abroad. What do we have to get students to say, okay, it's not that scary financially. I should at least consider them. I should try not write them off because of the MSRP.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, as kind of an overall bit of advice for the financials of college is try and block out as much of the noise as you possibly can. There's a lot of noise out there, a lot of negativity when it comes to the cost of college, commercialization of higher education, and that's true. You know, just turn on the TV. All those online colleges, they're all for profit, which means they're trying to get your money. Most traditional academic institutions of higher education these days, they're nonprofit. Okay, so all the tuition money is just meant to keep the doors open and keep opportunities rolling in to help students. I mean, also help humanity. I mean, a lot of these research-based institutions, they're trying to change the world for a better, and they need funding to do that. And there's only so many ways you can do that. Now, when it comes to the finances laying back on the student in terms of paying for it, yes, it's expensive. It is expensive. It is a large investment. You know, so is a house. You know, you got to put a lot of effort into it. You got to do a lot of research. You got to make sure that in this investment, just like any other, it's going to pay off down the line. There's no way to guarantee that. You know, there is no way to say, if you go here, you're going to get this job and you're going to be totally fine. That's not the way it works. Right. A lot of it is on you. You're putting a lot of that bet on yourself. Now, if it's a place that makes you feel great and you know you can be successful there, the investment's probably going to pay off. It's going to make you feel more comfortable taking advantage of the opportunities that go in. But look, anywhere you are looking, whether it seems like it's the most expensive option or it seems like it's the best option in terms of the finances, that's not always the whole story, the financials going into it. There are scholarship opportunities at Miami simply for applying. We have it on our website. It is a merit grid that shows you if you hit these metrics, you apply by a certain time, this is how much money you are guaranteed to come here. What it doesn't tell you, it's not the only scholarship money that Miami gives out to prospective students. There are recruitment events that are based off of building a more diverse and inclusive environment here on Miami that come with a scholarship. It is of no cost to you. You simply apply to it. You come to campus for 24 hours. It's one of our only overnight visit opportunities. And it provides you an opportunity to also get $2,500 to $4,000 a year on top of anything else you would earn from your grades. Wow. We do that, and that's just one example. You know, there are opportunities for talent-based scholarships if anybody's interested in the creative arts. Every academic office has the ability to bring scholarships. There are thousands upon thousands of outside scholarships that you can get for a variety of different reasons. Who you are, where you come from, how much your parents make, where you work. You can work at Starbucks or McDonald's and have a scholarship opportunity right in front of you and not even know it. So, I mean, there's always ways to make this more affordable. The key, though, is obviously putting yourself in a position, though, at the end of the day, to have the best idea of how it might pay off. I've had so many students who talk about Miami being their dream school and then saying at the end of the day, I just have to go to the most affordable option. Well, the most affordable option might put them in a position to never get a job, to never get an internship, to just be working in some job they don't want to be working in for the rest of their lives, when they had all this excitement about a place that probably could have worked out if they did a little bit more homework and looked for other opportunities to make the funding available. But at the same time, they would have come in with this attitude of taking advantage of everything this place has to offer, and that would have created dividends where they would have never had to worry about student debt. Okay. The golden rule that I've always heard about student loan debt is that you never want to be in more debt than what your first year's salary will be leaving. Mm-hmm. So for instance, Miami's average student loan debt is $29,000. Okay. That's the average debt of a person who graduated from Miami institution.
Yeah, which is Miami University. Yeah, for a public Ivy, that's not bad at all.
The average annual starting salary of a Miami graduate this past year was $52,000 a year. Mm. So we're doing a little bit better than that. But we always try and put students in a position to where, regardless of what the situation is in terms of them potentially leaving here, we never want to leave a student in a worse situation than that golden rule. And our financial aid office will have open, honest conversations with students. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those are tough. Sometimes they are in a situation where we have to say, this might not be the best option for you. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're approaching this with a very human and realistic opportunity, and you talk to everybody you possibly can talk to, you're going to find that there are going to be a lot more doors that are open financially than there are closed.
Okay.
Especially these days.
I'm with you. Two questions here. One is, so Miami has you were telling me about this earlier. Miami has a tuition lock on 4 years of tuition. What does that mean to kids?
Well, it's something you got to be careful of. There's a lot of schools out there these days that every year, for one reason or another, keep tuition going up and up and up and up. And look, we're no different. I'm not going to say that our tuition doesn't go up, but we do have a situation to where when a student does start here, their tuition is then locked in for all 4 years that they're here. So everything is clear to them before they even sign on the dotted line about what a 4-year investment in Miami will be. Mm-hmm. Not, hey, we want you to come here and we're going to give you this great scholarship that's going to be about half of your tuition. But then next year, tuition is going to go up. Oh, wait, your scholarship, is that going to remain the same? In a lot of cases, yes. Mm-hmm. Because scholarship stays the same. It's automatically renewed as long as you stay in good academic standing, and the tuition will not rise anymore. You will even know the room and board rate card. You will know all special purpose and course fees associated with your major over all 4 years that you were there. And our financial aid office does a great job in terms of planning out the entire 4 years for you, for your parents, for anybody else interested in this opportunity and looking into it from a more financial aspect so that you can make the best financial decision for you and your family. So, it's just a way that we can provide a little bit of predictability and transparency in terms of the financials of everything, which I think that any good investment needs.
Having some visibility to that is important. Now, going back to on all these scholarship opportunities, just for study abroad, for diversity, for merit, there's thousands of merit scholarships, and that grid, where do we send kids? What are some links that I can put up?
Sure, we have. So our website is pretty user-friendly when you use the search bar. Okay. And literally it's just miamioh.edu/merit is going to take you right to that merit grid. Okay. Or you can just type in merit in the search bar, merit scholarships, anything, it'll take you directly to that link. Okay. We also have a very extensive database of outside scholarships that students have brought to Miami. Simply by going through our it's basically our one stop, but it's our student of financial assistance. Same thing. If you just type in outside scholarships in that search bar, that link will come up directly. It's very easy to use.
Okay. Andrew, last question is, what is your favorite program or offering Miami has that's often overlooked by students that we haven't touched on? Is it? Yeah.
No, there is. Actually, everybody knows about our business school. Our engineering department is usually highly ranked in a lot of different ways. Education, the same thing. So all these big name programs are often get the recognition they deserve. There is a program, though, that is starting to get a little bit more traction because it involves a lot of different cool things. It's called Interactive Media Studies. It is basically looking at from several different ways and several different opportunities to be focused and to specialize. But the way businesses utilize multimedia these days and different types of media to sell. So a large portion of it tends to be game design, which is a nationally ranked program. It's one of the best in the country. And that tends to be a big part of interactive media studies. But, I'll get students that'll talk about, like, I'm really interested in computer science, but I like the design aspect of it more. I'm like, this is the perfect major. It's a combination of all those things, designing and looking at ways in which, people are mining information through online sources and through games and stuff. multi-billion dollar industry that this is directly leading towards, that not a lot of people know about simply because of the name of it, interactive media studies. Nobody knows what that means.
Right.
It's not computer science. It's not, entrepreneurship, but it involves all of that stuff. And it is putting our students in really cool situations. As part of that, there's actually an opportunity to study in San Francisco for an entire semester.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And about 2/3 of it is actually internship opportunities. Essentially, you, as part of your coursework, explore a lot of different connections we have in Silicon Valley, and you get a lot of opportunity to engage with them in a professional sense throughout the majority of your time there. It's an invaluable opportunity that is coming out of this tiny little major that not a lot of people know about simply because they don't understand the name.
Right. That's really cool.
Yeah, Gerontology is an amazing program here. Usually one of the top in the country. And, very rarely do you hear a student that comes to a college campus and says, I want to study about old people. Gerontology is obviously a little bit more than that, but human aging, we're at a point right now where we're facing human aging changing the way we do things in a lot of different ways, Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all this different stuff that's all coming to, the heels of the largest generation of Americans entering that age level. And I am not kidding you here when I say that 90% of the professors here, regardless of what class or what professional area they teach in, will tell you that if you couple your studies with gerontology, you are guaranteeing yourself a job when you graduate. Just because so many people are looking for expertise in how this large demographic of human beings is going to react in the professional world when they enter the aging time period of, having to have their kids take care of them and making different financial decisions and planning out their lives so that they can live comfortably with what they've acquired. There's so many different ways that this area of study can kind of filter into a lot of different professions that if you follow that and you study it, you can couple it with anything else you're studying here and put yourself in an incredibly marketable professional position upon graduation.
Okay. One last thing. What is some golden advice for all high school seniors who are going to be applying this fall? Anywhere. They're applying to Miami and all these other schools. What advice do you have as an admissions professional?
Yeah, the number one thing is just be open. Be open. You never know what's going to come your way over about the next 8 to 9 months. And by that, I mean opportunity, I mean people, I mean, life-changing types of situations, or even, things just to get it down to the nitty-gritty scholarships. You never know what might come your way. I read so many applications. I usually read about 800 to 900 applications a year. And there's always so many situations that I get incredibly frustrated with when a student, will have this glowing recommendation that's talking about, 15 different things that they do and how passionate of a student they are. And then I go back to their application and it is simply filled out. There is no depth to that, to what they have told me. A lot of schools these days will read applications in a holistic and contextual way, which those are just buzzwords for telling you they look at everything and they consider everything. If they're going to do that, though, and they're going to be honest about doing it, you're going to have a human being reading that application on the other end. That human being, if you make a connection with them in a human sense, can go to bat for you. They can go to bat for you for admission, for scholarship. I had the opportunity to advocate for admission and for scholarship every single year for students that I make a connection with, either personally at a visit, while I'm recruiting, or just simply from reading their application.
Okay.
So give these people every reason to go to bat for you. You might have it at an institution that you never considered before in your life, but all of a sudden these people decide they want you at their school and they throw the world at you in terms of maybe scholarship or opportunity for some specialized program. You never know. As long as you're open and you're looking at every opportunity, you're listening to people, you're experiencing different things that you never thought you'd experience before in terms of looking at different colleges, and you're not just listening to the advice of one or two people. Really open up, and at the end of the day, there's really only one person you need to make happy in terms of your choice, and that's you. That's it. If it makes your dad happy, it might not be the best option for you. If it makes your girlfriend happy, I can guarantee you it is not going to be the best option for you. That is a bad idea. If you go where your girlfriend or boyfriend goes,
I love it.
that never works out.
Yes, I'm in total agreement. I totally agree.
Make the choice for you. But if you are open and you let every bit of information come your way throughout the process, you're going to make the best decision. It's impossible not to.
I think that's really good. I think there's 2 points in there, what you just said. Number one is, it's anywhere from like $60 to $90 per application. Don't rule out a school just because of, that's small money, right? There's big money to be had if somebody is advocating for you. See, I didn't know that during admissions, you're advocating for whether they get in and how much they can save in terms of a scholarship. And the second piece is, so one is don't turn down these opportunities, these schools that you might have heard about or thought about or seen somewhere, but you never really considered it. Well, you need to be considering it, right? Do some more research on it. The other thing, what you said is really in your application, be open and, because somebody could be going to bat for you. Somebody's kind of putting their reputation, their professional reputation, a little bit on the line for you, right? And you want to give them that ammunition to do that in the 600 words or, however many words these essays are nowadays. You want to be open and vulnerable and, make that connection. That's important.
The last bit of advice too that I have that's kind of in connection with this that is a little controversial at times, but students these days I think need to hear it a little bit more and more.
Yes,
is that
that's good.
You don't have to worry about feeling like they're making you feel special. We get that so much these days where I will get a student say, emailing me about scholarship or whatnot, and they'll say, I want to know how much Miami really wants me. Well, to be perfectly honest, we have 30,000 applications. We accept about 20,000 students. If you're going to turn it down, chances are somebody else is not going to turn it down. It's not necessarily about how special we feel you are. You need to internalize that. If you think you are going to make a difference on a college campus, go prove that to them. There are scholarships that you can earn throughout your time at a university, and that will create a better person, a better version of you down the line, rather than thinking that everybody owes you something. It's not the easiest thing to tell people, but if you go in it with the idea that you are going to bring a lot to the college campus, then you're going to be putting yourself in the best position for people to think that about you.
Right.
But then at the same time, you're also going to put yourself in the best position of taking advantage of every opportunity that's going to create success, not just waiting for it to be handed to you.
I'm with you on that. It's almost like, okay, you need the college. Everyone wants the college to think that they're special and you're wanted, but you need to show that, demonstrate that, rather than kind of passively, telling people that with words. You through your actions, what you've done, how your search is going, how you interact with the college itself shows them that's your potential. If you just talk about it, it's, words are cheap, right? It's if you're behaving in that way, colleges will be able to tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for this. I feel like there's so much that I learned about Miami U here, but there's so much more that I think like kids can get out of this just for their entire college search. I on behalf of the audience, parents who are watching this, students, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I love that you're providing this kind of platform for students to learn more about the college search process. I love my job. I could literally talk about this for hours. I'm not alone. There's a lot of people out there that are like this. So when I say go to these colleges, you got to talk to people. That's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing. You can always come into a situation where somebody who's open and genuine will let you know you got to make the right choice for you, but they have a lot of good knowledge that can help you through this process.
Right, and I feel like when we first met, I felt like, man, you're a great representation of Miami. The warmth and your enthusiasm. You guys don't know this because I'm editing it out, but we actually spoke for about half an hour before this video even started, and I figured out, oh, my camera's not on. But it's great. I hope we have the opportunity to do it again, Andrew, and because there's so much, like what we talked about earlier. There's just so much Miami has to offer kids. It's so focused on teaching kids, almost raising young adults. We might be able to do another one, a part 2 to this, but thank you, Andrew.
Happy to. Love to.